So, you want to know what the worst theater experience I ever had was? Well, stay tuned till the end of this video, you'll find out. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Get Out is no perfect movie. So in Get Out, a man named Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, is invited to meet his girlfriend's parents, played by Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener. And he's initially uncomfortable with the fact that he's the only black person there seemingly, and that the parents keep going on and on about how they're totally okay with him being black. But after meeting these two black people who work in the house for the parents, he becomes suspicious of their motivations, and things get a lot more dangerous for him. It's pretty cool and surprising that Jordan Peele, a comedian making his first film, showing as a fan and a filmmaker that he understands the horror genre. Something he said in an interview that really stuck with me is that both horror and comedy are genres where the pacing makes up so much of it. And here, Peele takes enough time to build up each intense moment for the use of drawn-out, long shots that illustrate how isolated Chris feels being one black man surrounded by many more white people. And whenever he uses a close-up of an object or an actor's face, it always makes each scene feel more startling in setting up a scenario or revealing someone's motivations. As does Michael Abels' score, which features a lot of Swahili voices that sound very ominous and add to the feeling of seclusion. Daniel Kaluuya's performance makes this character feel relatable to anyone regardless of race, because not only is the scenario of meeting your partner's parents nerve-wracking enough, the fact that their way of making their acceptance clear by constantly pointing it out, just making things worse, is a mistake that I've seen done in real life numerous times, and the fact that it's told from his perspective makes you really root for him when the more violent parts of the film start to happen. And when he stays at this house, it actually does make sense, and when shit starts to hit the fan, he uses his resources around him in order to fight back and escape, and it's really refreshing to see that in a horror movie. And Little Rel Howery was hilarious as the comic relief. His jokes about Chris being at the house cleverly poke fun at the cliches of staying at this house or going to this house to begin with, like any other horror movie. And he's also actually really smart. When Chris gives him clues on what's really going on under the surface, he researches these things and does what anyone would do in those situations. Now, the acting from the rest of the cast has a vibe similar to the Stepford Wives, where each character has a robotic way of speaking. They enunciate everything, their expressions are over the top, and how they smile and stare at inappropriate times. And at first it felt a little too forced for me, especially from Bradley Whitford, who I thought oversold it just a little bit. But once the plot started to begin slowly revealing itself, it made more sense as to why they were acting this way. And it was both funny and creepy because their expressions made these characters feel really mysterious, and it was funny just because of how surreal and unrealistic this dialogue was sounding. There's this scene where Chris enters the house and goes upstairs, and everyone stops talking once he does go up the stairs, and they start listening to his every move. And you can tell that they're up to something, but it's unsettling because you don't know exactly what it is they're thinking or what they're going to do, and it's so funny just because it was so sudden and the timing was just perfect. The only problem I really had with the film is that in the first 20 minutes, the fact that there's something off about the parents that is racially motivated, I felt was foreshadowed a little too much to the audience. We know for a fact that there's something strange about them because in every horror film, when someone goes to another person's house, they seem normal at first, but then guess what? Something weird and freaky happens. But these two parents keep saying how they have Indian art in their house from India itself, how they admire other people's cultures, and the fact that there's black mold in their basement and that's why they sealed it off, and it just felt a little too obvious to me. Get Out takes a serious subject that is still relevant today and unfortunately still needs to be addressed, and cleverly addresses it in the vein of a well-directed, deliberately paced, well-acted horror film. And for that reason, I'm going to give Get Out a 4 out of 5. Okay, so I promised at the beginning of this video that I would tell you about the theater experience that I had during Get Out, which quite possibly could have been the worst out of any theater experience I've had. So, people are just starting to sit down, there's 20 minutes before the film starts. All of a sudden, this woman with her two sons who, if I had to guess, were 10 and 8, come in, and me and the people who were sitting next to me were just like, are they in the wrong theater? Do you think they walked in by accident? And out of respect, I'm just like, okay, well, I'll ask them. And so I do ask them, I'm like, excuse me, which film do you think you're going to see? And all three of them say, Get Out. And in order to look respectful and stuff, I'm just like, oh, okay, my mistake. And the worst part was, those three were sitting right next to me. And when the lady sits down, she puts her feet up on the seat in front of her. Don't you just love that? Like, I'll bet the person who's going to sit in that seat after the next showing is definitely going to want to have been touched by someone's dirty feet. Seriously. Does no one think of that? Whatever. She puts her feet up. She sits next to me because apparently I scared those two kids by asking that question. And she looks at me and goes, "Hi. Hello. I like your beard. Thank you. It's really edgy. I just thought I looked good in it. That's all." And whenever one of the villains die in this movie, in bloody, semi-gruesome detail, she just looked at the screen and went, yes! And I just sat there and I'm like, lady, there are N-words in this movie. There are Jeffrey Dahmer jokes about fucking a severed head. There are graphic details of a human's head or a human's open chest, and you're taking a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old to see this? It's just like... And you're cheering it on? Really? Like... Ugh. Ugh. Whew. I knew it was a good idea to use it in this video. Oh, boy. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Thank you for sticking through that whole story if you did. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.